Homeownership is supposed to mean freedom, stability, and security. But across the United States, including right here in Maryland, many families are discovering that the very associations meant to maintain their neighborhoods can also find them into foreclosure while still collecting their monthly dues and property taxes. That's a form of double taxation, paying both the government and a private corporation for the same essential services, yet losing your property rights if you fall behind on either. This isn't rare. It's legally permitted in Nevada, Colorado, North Carolina, Texas, Georgia, and Maryland, where HOAs can place liens and foreclose for unpaid assessments. Today, we'll explain how that happens, how it drains public resources, and why this private foreclosure power must be prohibited by state law to protect fairness, liberty, and public accountability. When you buy a home in an HOA community, you automatically sign a private contract, the Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, or CC&Rs. Buried in those documents is one extraordinary clause: the HOA's ability to impose fines, convert them into assessments, and record liens that can lead to foreclosure, even without the same due process protections required for a mortgage or tax lien. Now, defenders of this system often say,
"Well, you signed the contract. You knew what you were agreeing to."
But that argument doesn't hold up, legally or ethically. Here's why: you signed the contract isn't a valid defense. 1. No real choice. CC&Rs are pre-written adhesion contracts. You can't negotiate them. 2. Hidden powers. Buyers aren't clearly told HOAs can foreclose like banks. 3. Private power versus public law. Only courts, not neighborhood boards, should take someone's home. 4. Public interest prevails. States can and must regulate contracts that harm homeowners and communities. Signing a contract does not mean surrendering your constitutional rights. These CC&Rs are drafted by developers and management firms, not by homeowners. They're mandatory, non-negotiable, and usually unread at closing. In law, that's called an adhesion contract, where one party has all the power and the other has no bargaining ability. And even more critically, no private agreement can override public law or constitutional due process. Foreclosure is a sovereign legal act, not a private remedy. Allowing corporations or neighborhood boards to use it violates the separation between private enforcement and public authority. That's why state legislatures must prohibit HOA foreclosure by law. Legal reference: Medi Real Property, Prior Forf, 11b Wiwiao on 17 and 14 204. HOA liens may be enforced by the sale of the lot by the association. Maryland currently allows foreclosure without mandatory judicial oversight, a gap reform must address. These are verified public cases where homeowners lost their property over small HOA debts. Las Vegas, Nevada, 2018. Nanita Neff lost her $430,000 home auctioned for $30,000 after a lien dispute. Never a Reverend Stat. Proverb 116, 31116, 1116, 31164. Grants HOAs super priority lien rights allowing non-judicial foreclosure. Pitt County, North Carolina, 2022. Trinita Rogers, $413,000 home sold for $221,000 over a $1,491 HOA debt. NC Generous Stat. Par 47F3116 and 47C3116. Authorizes foreclosure by public sale after 90 days delinquency. Aurora, Colorado, 2021. A home worth over $300,000 was auctioned for $5,000 after $4,889.31 in unpaid dues. Colo Dower, Revenue Stat. Par 4 38, 33 on 3 on 316 and 30 on 38 100.3. Judicial foreclosure process for HOA liens. Georgia, 2022. Under OCGA. Par 44 3232 and 44 3109. HOAs can foreclose in the same manner as a mortgage once debt exceeds about $2,000, even for minor violations. Mesquite, Texas, 2023. Finda Karoma nearly lost her home of 18 years over $3,500 in unpaid assessments. Text Prop Code, Paragraph 209-92 and 209-94, permits HOA lien foreclosure with notice and payment plan rights. In Maryland, similar powers exist. State law allows HOA and condo associations to sell homes for unpaid assessments with limited oversight. Bills like House Bill 1534, 2025 aim to reform that, but the law still permits foreclosure today. Each of these cases proves one point: homeownership should not be lost over private debts. Every HOA foreclosure hurts more than the homeowner. When a property is sold or abandoned, counties lose property tax revenue, and taxpayers must cover code enforcement, security, and upkeep. It's a silent cost, public money cleaning up after private enforcement. Meanwhile, HOAs still collect dues from other members, so homeowners are effectively paying twice, once through property taxes to maintain their community, and again through HOA fees. The private layer of control. That's not fairness. That's double taxation without representation. Foreclosure is one of the most serious legal remedies the state can exercise. It should require judicial review, notice, and an impartial judge. When HOAs foreclose privately, they bypass due process entirely. They act as creditor, prosecutor, and enforcer, a violation of basic fairness principles. These powers blur the line between civil governance and private corporate rule, undermining the very idea of liberty in homeownership. For many people, it starts small: a mailbox color, a lawn notice, a late fee. But for seniors, veterans, and working families, those fines grow into liens and, eventually, foreclosure. These aren't bad neighbors. They're ordinary homeowners trying to survive under an unfair system. The result is the loss of generational wealth and community stability. To restore fairness, state legislatures must act. No private corporation should possess the government's highest power, the power to take a person's home. HOA foreclosure must be prohibited by state law. That means only courts can authorize a home sale. Minimum debt thresholds must be established, mandatory mediation before any lien action, and transparency requirements for all HOA boards and management firms. This isn't anti-community, it's pro-freedom and pro-accountability. A model state HOA reform law could read, "No homeowners association or condominium association may foreclose upon, sell, or transfer any residential property for unpaid fines, fees, or assessments. All association liens shall be collectible only through judicial civil action." That means end private foreclosures, prevent double taxation, restore due process, and protect Maryland families and property values. That's how we build fairness into law, not just contracts. Foreclosure belongs in the courtroom, not in the hands of unaccountable boards. Homeownership should mean freedom, fairness, and stability, not fear of losing your home over private dues. Let's make it law. Let's make HOA foreclosure prohibited by statute in Maryland and across America. This content is for civic education and public awareness only and does not constitute legal advice.